Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Golf Adjacent. I'm your host, Christian Sykes, joined as always by Canon Claycomb, Hotel Planner Tour golfer Canon Claycomb. It's been a minute since we've talked. Canon had to go overseas and go get a job, which he was successful at. So, Canon, how have you been? It's been about 3 weeks since we last talked.
Yeah, man, I've been great. Like you said, been overseas, just got home. So a little bit, I'm a little bit tired still, a little bit out of it, but it's so great to be back on. I've missed doing the podcast, honestly. Like, I think this is such a good outlet for me to just like get my ideas and like thoughts out on kind of like paper, I guess you could say, but not really. But it was a fun couple of weeks. We're gonna talk all about it, but excited to be back on the podcast and be talking to you.
Well, last that we talked, just to kind of recap for everyone that maybe has forgotten, Canon was going to Spain, near Portugal, to play in the second stage of the DP World Tour Q School. He was successful at getting to the final stage, which we will talk about that whole second stage. Um, and in that last episode, I think we were talking about how you had to go do Corn Ferry Tour qualifying, maybe Asian Tour qualifying. Um, Asian Tour got put on hold, if I remember you saying that
Hmm.
correctly, just because you did get to the final stage. I
Yeah.
don't think Corn Ferry, did you get to the
No,
second stage
I
of Corn?
didn't. I didn't. I missed by two shots at first stage. I think I either shot five under and the number was seven under, or I shot seven under and the number was nine under. I can't
I think it was
remember which
five
one's
under.
which.
I'm pretty sure it was
Yeah.
five under.
Yeah. And
Um,
like we can talk about that a little bit too, because like I was talking about that with some of the guys in Europe that I played with that like were European and had only played DP, and they were kind of asking me like, what is the American game right now? And I was just trying to explain to them like, well, the place we played at for first stage, like it was pretty difficult, and like seven under was the number. And it's like I shot four rounds under par at first stage of Q school. Like I think I shot one under, two under, one under, one under, which like that's not like groundbreaking, but that's first stage of Corn Ferry, and like I didn't get through. There's two more stages after that, and so it's like the level of play over here right now is it's getting absurd, and like we're kind of getting rid of like all the Monday qualifiers, like opportunities to get into events. And it's like I think there's like a huge market for a mini tour to like survive right now, because like for the longest time it was like mini tours like would go out of business or go bankrupt or like not pay out their players, and it made a lot of like us scared to play in those because it was like a little sketchy. And it's like I think now there's just nowhere for these guys to go. Like I just went to Europe for 4 weeks and I'm about to live in Europe for 8 months to play golf, because that's like the only place I can really like go to like succeed. And so like that was kind of a rant, but like that it was amazing to see like the difference between what is successful on like DP World Tour and what is successful on Corn Ferry. And I'm not really like talking about level of play. Like the two games are so different. And we've talked about that a little bit on here before, but like it reinvigorated that like belief that like I am supposed to be playing golf over in Europe.
Well, and like you said, we've talked about it, and with the new regulations with the PGA, I think they're making the like qualifying to 100 players instead of, I think it's like 130 right now or 120,
Yeah.
which means those 30 players who are arguably the top 130 players in the world, right? Like 101
Hmm.
to whatever it is, are now going to Corn Ferry, which means 30 players from Corn Ferry are now not in Corn Ferry anymore, right?
Yeah.
Just because of, and now, like, in order to get to the PGA, you have to now go through, 30 top 150 players in the world on top of whatever is already in Corn Ferry. And I think it's a really good. thought process by you because like 5 under doesn't get you to the how many players were in the first
I think there
Q
was
school
like
stage maybe
90, it was like 80 or 90 guys. And then the top 20, it was
without
like top 20
ties.
in ties.
Oh, I thought it was
I
without
think
ties.
it might have been without ties. I don't even remember. I think first stage, well, yeah, I don't want to say it was with ties because Europe was ties until final stage.
Yeah.
Corn Ferry, it very well could have been only top 20.
I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the podcast previously,
Mhm.
where you were saying that Q School and World DP World Tour had ties. The PGA or Corn Ferry didn't have ties, which is kind of, I think they had to do like playoffs and stuff. But so 90 players in your first stage Q School for Corn Ferry. How many Corn Ferry stages are there? Or
There's
sites
three.
for or not stages, sites for first stage?
I think there's probably like around 15 sites. I would say there's like three or four in Florida, a couple like out west, a couple in Texas. I would say like between 12 and 15 for first stage. And then it goes down to like six for second stage and then obviously one for final stage. But it's like I think a lot of it too is kind of what you just said with like the 30 players from the PGA Tour going back to Corn Ferry, like it makes the middle so congested, like the Corn Ferry Tour is so congested. And then it forces us to have these like impossible to understand like guidelines to what your status actually is. Like just because you have status on Corn Ferry doesn't mean you're going to get into a single event. Like you could go to Q School and finish last at Q School and like you're a member of the Corn Ferry Tour, but you're not going to get a start. Like just because you're a member on the tour. Like you have to have like decent enough status to get into the events. And then like you also have to like have status in general to get that better status. And so it's like I think guys are getting confused on like what do I need to do to like play a full season? Like some of the guys that came out on PGA Tour University, like because it's so late in the season, they get like 8 or 10 events. And then there's a reshuffle and they didn't qualify for the reshuffle, or they're just like out of events. And so it's like, yeah, I played 8 events on Corn Ferry Tour, but like I got basically nothing from it. And then there's the opposite now where like PGA Tour U is producing a lot of good players like Michael Brennan, who just won on a sponsor's exemption, but like he only won that tournament because he was there on a sponsor's exemption. Like and to me, that's insane. And that it's insane to me that they're like willing to be like, okay, let's just like get rid of Mondays. Let's like dial back the sponsors invites when like I genuinely think the like quality of players in America is like better than it ever has been before.
Yeah, I mean, just it makes the stories of like guys going through Corn Ferry, going through Q School, the Scotty Schefflers of the world that like did their time on Q School, got the win, and then was able to gain status through Corn Ferry. Like now, I feel like it's just gonna be PGA Tour U. If you're in the what is it like top 10 or top five, do you get
Yeah,
status?
it's top 10 for Corn Ferry. One gets a PGA Tour card and then 11 through 25 get Americas. But I think they're expanding that. I talked to someone the other day that was pl a player and he was saying that like he thought it was expanding. I haven't like heard or seen that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go to like 30 or 35. Because like you're seeing all these guys have like insane success. Like Ludwig was the first PGA Tour U guy. He's almost won the Masters, won a couple times, like worldwide. He's incredible. Then you had Michael Thorbjornsen, who's played on the PGA Tour now for like 2 or 3 years. You've got Carl Phillips, he's on the PGA Tour now. Nick Dunlap, Michael Brennan. Like Michael Brennan was the like one of the last guys in on PGA Tour U, and he dominated PGA Americas for 2 years, and then I think he would have dominated Corn Ferry Tour, and did what like Johnny Kiefer did, and now he's won on the PGA Tour in like 4 starts, and he made the cut last week at Bermuda, and he made the cut in Cabo. So it's
Yeah,
like I don't see that going down anytime soon. But
but
then that
just
makes it makes the status even more confusing because like that's another category now on Corn Ferry. It's like category 14 where it's like PGA Tour University. And like I wasn't eligible for a reshuffle in PGA Americas because I had full status through PGA or yeah, PGA Tour U. So it's like there's guys that like and I played like shit in PGA Americas. Like I should have been reshuffled out. I was lucky like not to. But it's like I'm sure there's guys that are like, what is this guy like still doing here? Like he hasn't made a cut. And like I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah. Um, it's interesting. It's a lot going on, and I will say, following the DP World Tour Q School, it was much easier. They were like,
Yeah.
you were like, this is what I have to do, and if I do this, then this is what's going to happen. I think the
Hmm.
confusing part with that was when we get into final stage talk, like the whole like 20 to 41 range and then all of that. But like even still, like that was pretty easy. Um, to follow along with. But talk us through kind of your second stage in DP World Tour. Like we talked about your preparation leading up to it, but talk about like that week of practice, and then we'll quickly talk about just kind of like the success that you had in second stage.
Yeah, so I played second stage in this place called Huelva, Spain. It was all the way in like the bottom part of Spain, literally like bordering Portugal. Like I went to dinner every night in Portugal, just because it was like a bigger town across the water. So I fly over there like 3 days early, which I would have had two practice rounds. They lost my clubs on the way to Spain. So like I show up, it's like 8 in the morning. I'm exhausted, no clubs. And the course is like an hour and a half away from the airport. And they were like, it's gonna come this afternoon, but we're not gonna be able to bring it till tomorrow night to like, cause we can't get somebody to like drive them. So went home, went to the hotel, like checked in, did all that stuff. Then my plane landed with my clubs on it. So I drove an hour and a half back to the airport, picked up the clubs, then drove an hour and a half back to the hotel, like chilled out. So like nothing like serious there, but it was just like hectic from the start. And then got there. I did 18 holes the first day practice round, and then played 9 holes the second day in the practice round and just practiced. And then we just started playing. For second stage, I believe it was top 20 and ties. I actually think it was top 20 without ties because there was a playoff that one of my buddies played in at the same site, and he was like first alternate, and he ended up flying home and getting into final stage. So he flew home, was home for like 12 hours, and then got in and flew straight back to Spain to play final stage. And he actually ended up getting a DP World Tour card. So like that was a cool little story. His name is Fred Biondi. I think there was a good like Monday Q info article about it. But um, played like so the first day I played, I shot even, and it was kind of what we've talked about like on the podcast before. Like I just did everything so average and like didn't take advantage of really like anything. And I finished and I was like genuinely so frustrated. Like I wanted to like cry at launch because I'm just like this keeps happening like over and over and over again. And it was like I think it was I kind of had a decision to make. Like, do you just pack it in or like are we gonna go out there and like not bitch and complain and like try and do something? And I shot 5 under in the second round, 5 under in the third round, and I went from literally like second or third to last with even par to I was like eighth or ninth place, and like had a like real chance of winning the golf tournament the last 2 days. And I think like the biggest thing I shot like 2 under maybe the third round, which like made it stressful for the final round because you're right. I was like 2 shots above the number, which like out there you had to shoot under par to like hold your spot or move up on the leaderboard. So like I think the big change for me was like those 5 under rounds were great. Um, or no, sorry. I guess I shot 5 under in the third round too. But I shot even 5 under, 5 under, and then like 3 or 4 under the final round. And that final round, man, like I was so nervous coming down the stretch, like more nervous than I've ever been on a golf course like in my entire life. Because it was like I've done all this work all week, and then I got it to like 3 under, 4 under with like three to play. And the last three holes were like in off the left and then down off the left and then like straight into the wind. And off the left wind for me is like a nightmare. Like I hate it so much. It's my least favorite wind. And I birdied 16, I parred 17, and then I birdied 18 to finish. So it was like it was just so like relieving and like so nice and like oh I felt like oh this is like the best thing in the world when I finished and I just kind of carried that momentum over and like we'll talk about it but it was kind of like you can talk about and I think this like goes for anything like does it's not golf specific or sport specific but like you talk about what you want to do all the time but until you like actually do that thing there's like you don't have the belief that like you can do it. Like I believed I could play good, but I needed that like I needed to just go do it. And I finally did it and like that was so amazing. And I felt great about it. Like I really felt like so awesome leaving second stage.
And so going into this whole Q school qualifying, what was your goal? I mean, obviously like DP World Tour was like your stretch goal. Like obviously everyone wants that, but like realistically in your head, what did you think what was your goal?
I think like my goal was to get what I got, like hotel planner tour full status to have like a full season. And I played with this guy named Shubanakar like Shinari. I think I probably butchered that name, but I played with him in the third and fourth round at Q School final stage. And he had played on DP World Tour for like 10 years. He got his DP World Tour card back at Q School. And like he was just a pros pro, like did nothing great, but did everything good. And I think like I I wanted to get a DP World Tour card. Like, don't get me wrong, that was like in my mind the entire time. But I also like we've talked about this before on the podcast. Like I still even after I've played great at Q school, like there are things that I need to fix and like work on. And I think if I was like out on DP World Tour right now or like this upcoming season, I would like kind of struggle. Like there's things that he does that like aren't special at all, but it's like I just haven't learned how to do that still. And like I think some of it's not even like golf swing or like golf shots. It's just like there was this one par four on the other course at final stage, the shorter course, and it was like 310 yards, kind of an elevated green and a straight dog leg, like 90 degrees. And I tried to hit this like three wood to fit it in these three bunkers and have like 60 yards and I missed the fairway by like 2 yards and had a wedge from the rough that I couldn't get to the like hole location from the rough from. He hits like 4 iron off the tee, hits a wedge where he's able to land it 10 feet behind the hole, suck it back to like 2 feet. He's got a tap in birdie. And it's like I would have like never thought to play the hole that way. Just because it's like it's 300 yards, like I should try and get it as close to the hole as possible. And like I know how to lay up off the tee. Like I've been taught that. But it's like that one situation. Like I see the hole as like you should try and push it into this tongue of the fairway that like the hole is designed for. And he sees it as like, why would I hit something that brings any of those bunkers into play and then I have a full shot into the green? And it's like I don't even remember the question at this point, but it was like that was so fun as a player for me to see like and it I think it exposed some of my weaknesses that like I didn't even think about having before I teed it up like that week. And there were other guys like that throughout final stage that I played with that like that Shuby guy like he's won twice on the DP World Tour. Like that's a big deal. And I was able to pick his brain for 8 hours 2 days in a row. Like it was just an incredible learning experience. And like, I think if I'm on DP World Tour, like after playing a full season of Hotel Planner Tour, I will be so much better off than if I went and got a DP World Tour card at Q School and like didn't feel like I was playing my best golf. And then you get thrown it. Like I would have been in Australia in 2 weeks to start DP World Tour season. And it's like, I don't know if I was like ready for that yet.
Yeah. Um, Do you do you feel like having him or having those guys around you while you were playing, like do you think that that helped you in like your final couple rounds? Because obviously like the 7 under round you went really low. Do you think that like seeing how they were playing, did you adjust your game to kind of match that?
Yeah, I think like I've always kind of played up to my competition and like I think I've always liked being paired with like big names. Like in college, I played with Christo Lamprecht like 15 times. And I always played great when we played together because I wanted to beat Christo. Like I knew how good he was. And so like I wanted to be that guy. And I think some of that is like at Q school, you're playing with these guys. Like my dad didn't know who Shuby was, but like I knew who he was because like I follow it very closely. And I was like, I can't believe I'm playing with this guy. Like this is incredible. And so I think there's part of it. And then like I shot 6 under in the fifth round. I had 8 birdies, 2 bogeys. And both those guys in my group, like they weren't big names or anything. They were really nice guys. They were just similar to me that like nobody really knew who they were. But like I shot 6 under, the other guy shot 5 under, and then the third guy shot 3 under. And it was like there's a vibe in the group when like everybody's playing good that it's like, all right, the momentum's good. Like I'm at a mid par, but he made birdie, so like I need to catch him. And it's just like this kind of game of like cat and mouse where you're like tracking each other down all day, as opposed to like sometimes you get paired with a guy who like he's shooting 1 or 2 over, but he's also like a massive complainer and like kind of makes a spectacle about it. And it's like, I think that hurts the entire like ecosystem of the group. And like, I think as a professional, you have to find a way to like not let it affect you. But I think there is like a vibe in the group when someone's playing poorly. And like, I luckily didn't have that the last 4 rounds of Q school, which I think, helped me a lot.
Do you think that the way that American golf is, where you were talking about like you feeling the need to like push it, you see a 310-yard par four, you think you have to push it to, get it close to 60 yards or whatever it is. Do you think that that is an American golf thing and you have to adjust how you're doing your golf because you're going to be on European golf, or do you think that's just how you are?
Yeah, no, I do think it's a like microcosm of like what the golf courses are like here in America and like what we're playing. Because like I mean, a lot of the times like we've talked about this and it'll be like, oh, I just played a mini tour event and I shot 9 under, and it's like those courses are short and like wide open. So it's like I'm just hitting it by the green like every hole, and I get up and down like half the time and make birdie and then reach the par fives and two. And like I think American golf is like long and open. And over there it's like kind of you have to think your way around it. But like when I was playing with Shuby, we step everything off in Europe. So like the yardage book is very important and like no range finders at all. And when I was up in Canada, I think we might have talked about this, but it's like I really had this revelation last week when I was at final stage because there was a lot of dog legs with holes that were like perpendicular to each other. And I thought the better option on a few holes was to hit it down the opposite hole. But then you like it's impossible to get a number from the other hole. Like it's impossible to get your yardage from the other hole. Like you can guess and like have a pretty close guess, but it's not exact. Where like up in Canada, we would play it down opposite holes all the time, like to the point where they had to make a couple holes internal out of bounds. But we were allowed to use rangefinders up there, so it was like you just hit it into the other fairway and then you shoot it from the other fairway. And like that, honestly, I never thought, I've always been like, oh, we should be able to use rangefinders. Like that's a dumb rule. I think now I'm all the way in on like every tournament should not have rangefinders allowed at all. Like, and also because I don't think it slows down play. Like when I'm walking to my ball, I'm passing like 5 or 6 like spotted numbers in the fairway. So like if I know my ball is in 40 yards and there's a yardage marker in 20 yards, like I just start stepping off the yardage on my way to the ball. And so it's like I have the number before I'm even at my shot. And so like I think there's just little things like that that we do over here that are honestly like a little probably lazy, and like we write it off as like, well, it speeds up the game. And like I'm not convinced that it speeds it up. And I also think it creates advantages for certain types of players that like could be avoided if we did some stuff the other way.
Well, yeah, I think the mental game of golf is probably the biggest. I mean, obviously there's skill, but like I think if you're mentally really good at golf, like you're going to be better than a person with that isn't that maybe has better skill. And
Mhm.
I think taking a rangefinder just eliminates some of that mental aspect of the game of golf. Um, but let's talk about your first four rounds because this the for those of you who aren't familiar with how DP World Tour Q School goes, in the final stage there's 6 rounds. Cannon, I think you played two different courses just because of how many people were there. And
Mhm.
after the first 4 rounds, there's a cut, and the everyone that makes the cut, from my understanding, gets at least conditional status on Hotel Planner. The top 20. Maybe not ties. Top 20 get DP World Tour, and then 21 to 40, I believe, get full status on Hotel Planner. Um, After your first 4 rounds, you make the cut. What's your mentality once you know that you have at least a conditional job going into the next season?
Yeah, I think honestly, like at first, when I first made the cut, I was elated because, like I said earlier, that was the most nervous I've been at second stage. Like the fourth round of final stage was like an even higher step up on the anxiety scale because it was like you can go from I just played 3 great rounds in a row to like I missed the cut by a shot if I shoot two over. Like, and so I was not satisfied until like the round was over and it was very stressful. Like I think I only made 2 birdies and like I shot one over par. So that was stressful. But then you make the cut and it's like I thought that after you made the cut, like you just had status on Hotel Planner Tour. And luckily, like I looked into it a little bit and you had to finish top 40 um after making the cut. So it was like my mentality did change and I was more aggressive, but I still couldn't like just go balls to the wall. Like because I wanted full status on Hotel Planner Tour. Like having a full card and being able to like plan a full season is a huge deal. And so I would say like I was more aggressive, but it was an aggressive like to a point where it was like I can go at certain flags, but there are some there are some that I still like don't need to go after. Whereas there were guys at Q School that like came from Hotel Planner Tour last year, ha kept their status, and were just trying to get a DP World Tour card. So like for them, they can just go like flat out gas pedal down, like we're going at everything. Whereas mine was more of a calculated, like let's get the birdies on the holes that we think are birdie holes, and then like let's step off a little bit on the holes that we think are hard, and let's try and make a par. So I would say it was like a calculated aggression. And honestly, like I think if I was a little closer to a DP World Tour card going into the final round, I would have like really kind of gone after everything. Um, but again, I was clear of the top 40 number, but only by like 2 or 3 shots. And it was calm the final round. Like golf course was in great shape. So it was like you give these guys no wind and like good conditions, like you're gonna have to shoot under par to like keep your spot on the leaderboard. So um, it was kind of the same where it's like I want to go shoot 8 under, but like if trying to shoot 8 under brings like one over or two over into play, then like I would rather shoot 3 under and like not go after the eight, but make sure I don't shoot like 72 or 73 or 74. Like, so I think it was calculated. And like, I think I did a good job of that, honestly, where if you go back and look at my scorecard from final stage, like the last 2 rounds, every hole I birdied, I think was like statistically one of the easier holes. Like the 8 birdies I had on the fifth round, I probably birdied like the 8 easiest holes on the course, like statistically. But then the difference was I played the hard holes really well. Like I played the back nine, which was the harder side. Like 12 was a really hard hole. I played that in like one over for the entire tournament. 15 was like a 520-yard par four. I played that like two over for the 6 rounds, which like I would have taken at the beginning of the week. And then 17 and 18, I played under par for the week, which was like a really solid statistic that I was looking at. And so it was like, I think there's a difference between being like aggressive to everything and like making sure that you play the hard holes good. Because then it gives you an opportunity to play the good holes good, and now you're like six under.
I want to get into the story about how your dad lost the 60 degree.
Yeah. Yeah, so like full transparency, like I don't think it was like his fault. And I told him that in the moment. Like I've lost clubs before. Like it's not that crazy. But what happened was I hit a really bad shot on hole six on the other course. And it was like a 460-yard par four playing straight into the wind. I hit driver and then I hit two iron short right, like 40 yards short right into this bunker. And it was a like crazy bunker shot. I hit it to like 2 feet. So like get up, I get out of the bunker and I'm like trying to go tap in to get out of everybody else's way. So I kind of just like lay the wedge on the bag and he goes in to like rake the bunker. I guess the wedge like fell off the bag and like he just never even saw the wedge there. But then like I realized it on hole 12. Yeah, hole 12. I'm like I almost drove this green on hole 12 and I'm like I need the 60. It's like it's not in the bag. I don't know where it's at. So he starts asking around. I got that up and down by the way with the 54. Um but we start asking around and like the guy in our group behind us was like, "Yeah, it's a ping wedge, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's it." And he was like, "Yeah, it's laying next to the bunker on six," which is exactly where I thought it was and just like no one turned it in. So I think the volunteer like stole it, if I'm being honest. Like, and I wasn't like mad at the player or anything because like they can't pick it up and put it in their bag because like
Yeah, because
now
that's
you have
like against the
15
rules,
clubs.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, like now you have 15 clubs. So, and like you don't want to hold the group up behind you and then like put yourself on the clock to like wait for a rules official to come grab this wedge. They probably just like gave it to the like volunteer there that was doing scoring and was like, "Hey, someone's like gonna come looking for this." But we just like never found it. No one ever turned it in. Like we never found it. I went back and looked for it, like wasn't there. So I genuinely have like no idea where that 60-degree wedge is or would be. But I ended up the fourth round, I used the greenskeeper's 60 degree. It was a Cobra and it had no grooves whatsoever. So like I was just chipping basically with a spoon, like a flat spoon. And then the last 2 days, my buddy missed the cut. I used his wedge for the last 2 days, but it only had like 6 degrees of bounce, and my 60 has like 10 degrees of bounce. So like I was just kind of stabbing everything into the ground like the last 2 days, trying to like manufacture it around. And I think it was more so like it wasn't really that the wedge was gone. It was like I kind of had like a built-in excuse to hit like bad chips. And I think that was the most like disappointing part of all of it was like I was every time I hit a bad chip, I was just like, well, it's not my wedge, you know. And that was like looking back on it, that was like such a cop-out answer. Like I could have chipped it close if I wanted to, but I think it just like I don't know, it was another thing to think about on like a week that was already so crazy and like I don't blame my dad. Like I wasn't mad at him or anything and like it honestly it sucked for him like cuz he felt so bad about it and I'm like we can't keep talking about this like it's gone. Like it's not coming back. So like just we got to let it go and that was just, yeah, it was another like crazy thing to happen. And like of all the weeks for that to happen, like Q school final stage was like such a wild place. And it was like it's funny now. Like looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, that's a hilarious story like that I'm gonna talk to him about in 20 years and be like, hey, remember that time you lost my 60 degree at Q school? Like that was crazy. But in the moment, it was not funny at all.
It's also one of those things that like not even just between like you and your dad, but like whenever you inevitably have kids, if that's what you choose to do, and like your kid and you're talking to your kids about like, oh, this is what, this is how my playing career was, and this is like this. I would say this is like the start of your professional career. Obviously, you did PGA Tour Americas last year, but I feel like this year, getting in the hotel planner, doing everything like it feels like in my opinion and I could be wrong, it feels like this is like the start of like your professional career. Like you can go back and tell your kids like this is what happened to me when I was going through this final stage, that like I needed this to get status, and
Mhm.
this is how I kind of overcame it. So it's kind of a cool thing that like is you're gonna look back on and
Yeah.
just
Well, and like I think it's a metaphor for what I've been like trying to do in golf recently and in life. Like I mean, I've started like reading the Bible more and like I've always like I was always religious growing up, but like I think now I'm actually like trying to search for things when I read it, and it's like I've been trying to do that in golf as well, where it's like I'm having these feelings, but why am I having these feelings on the golf course? And like how can I control them and not let them control me? And like I lost my 60 before the cut, like the day before the cut. So it's like I could have just buckled and been like, well, I don't have a wedge, like whatever happens, like hey, it happens. But it was like instead of that, it was like, all right, we lost the wedge, like we have the greenskeeper's wedge. There's 14 clubs in the bag. Like you have just as good of an opportunity to go shoot a good number as everybody else does in the field. Like this isn't something that like you can just write off. Like just go do it. And I think like it was this sounds dumb and it sounds weird, but like I think it was like meant to be. Like I think I was supposed to lose that 60 degree in some like way, shape, or fashion. And like that's just what happened. Because now, like, I mean, when I'm in South Africa for 4 weeks, like if I lose something over there, like it's gone. I'm never gonna see it again. So like there's certain things where you have to be like, okay, it's just gone. Like, let's move on. Let's find an alternative solution. Like, and let's go from there. And like, I think that's how my life is going to be for the next like year. And like losing that wedge was like just a precursor to like the chaos that's going to come with having hotel planner tour status. And I think it was great that it all happened. Now looking
yeah.
back on it, I think it was great.
Yeah, I mean, not to get religious, but you talk about, you're searching for things, God doesn't put things in your life that you can't overcome. The goal for you is to overcome things. And it's not
Yeah.
supposed to be easy, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's the lesson, especially as you go into this next season or next stage of life where like, look, something you might go shoot double bogey, you might go shoot triple bogey, but like how you respond is how you're gonna succeed in life, right?
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah. It was just
that
a crazy coincidence, and I think like I said, I think it was meant to be. So he's still tore up about it. I don't know if he'll ever get over it. I hope he does, but
why is he
and like
upset
the
about
other
it?
thing, well, he was the caddy and he did lose it. But I will like the other thing was like we searched like all over the place for a wedge. Like if you go to like a public like bad course in America, like you can walk into the pro shop and buy a wedge.
Yeah,
Like, I don't care where you're at, or a driver, or like whatever you need. Like, over there, dude, I got on every golf like consignment store website. Like, there is no Dick's, there is no like Walmart, there is no like, it's all these places that are like so niche and like special to Europe or Spain. Like, I'm convinced there wasn't another ping 60 degree in the country of Spain. Like, I looked and like I couldn't find one. I was willing to drive to Barcelona, like, and I couldn't even find one in Barcelona. So it was like you're so helpless. Like I almost bought a women's 60 degree wedge because they only sold women's clubs in the pro shop. So like it was either like use this women's 60 degree with a graphite shaft or use the greenskeeper's wedge that has no grooves and like needs to be regripped. And I picked the latter. I used the greenskeeper's wedge, and I'm so thankful that he let me do that. But it's like there aren't many options when something goes wrong. So like you just got to deal with it.
isn't on the PGA Tour they have like golf trucks that like you could like if
Yeah.
something happens, like you could just go and get a new.
Yeah. Well, and like and like I have a Strixon rep in and a ping rep, I'm sure, in Europe. But it's like I needed that wedge like the next day,
Yeah,
and like shipping it alone would have taken 2 days. So it's like it would have gotten there by the time I didn't need it. And it's just like, yeah, it's so crazy. Like some of those tour events do have tour trucks, and like that's great, but you can't drive from like Spain to like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like it has to be from Spain.
yeah. Um, So we talked a little bit about this like via text and stuff. You don't have a caddy. I assume your father's not going to be your caddy for a hotel planner. What's your thought process behind obviously like vetting caddies? I assume you're going to get one for hotel planner. Um, and are you excited that it might elevate your game more just having someone that is knowledgeable, I guess, with like DP World Tour, maybe the course that you're playing? Um, what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on caddy at the next level?
Yeah, so I met a lot of great people at final stage. There's a lot of guys that like filled in for guys who needed a bag at final stage that were kind of like full-time hotel planner or full-time like DP World Tour caddies. And then like by playing well at Q School, like I got a bunch of DMs on Instagram from caddies like in Europe that were like, "Hey, if you're looking for a bag, like I can do that." So like the vetting process will be like a lot, and I've already started with it. Like it's really just phone calls that I make to these guys and like see kind of what they stand for and like what they do on the golf course and all that kind of stuff. And I think the luxury I have now is like I can fire caddies and hire new ones. Like on Americas, there weren't guys that were willing to go up there and like caddy because the money was so like bad. So it's like now there's incentive for like a caddy to be good, and there's incentive for me to have a caddy that's good. And like if it's not working, I can fire them. And like I'm not saying I'm gonna be like rotating in and out caddies, but it's like when I was in Canada, like you pick up a guy who like is just a golf fan and like a member at the club and he like carries your bag for free. And it's like that was great. And I'm really happy that you did that for me and I'm very appreciative. But like there was nothing that you brought to the table other than like carrying the bag. And I wasn't asking him to do any of that. So like it's not his like their fault. But now it's like the guy I'm thinking about using right now is the guy that caddied for the Shuby guy I played with the third and fourth round, and he's from South Africa. Like he flew from South Africa to Spain without a player. He was at my second stage spot looking for a bag, ended up not finding one at the location I was at, took a train to the other location, found a bag there, and then his player ended up getting through second stage, and then he got through final stage. So like I'm looking for those guys that are like willing to be a little crazy and like fly places without a bag or like fly somewhere that I need them to be or like do the extra stuff. And like I think that's the big difference between the two tours is like now these caddies are like, this is my job. Like I am a caddy. So like if you need me to do something, I will do it. And like I'm obviously gonna pay them to do it. Like it's gonna be, I'm paying I'm his boss and like he works for me. But like I also need someone that like I'll be looking for someone that can do that job and also be like a friend. So
Yeah.
like I want to hang out with my caddy. Like I think if you ask anybody that's caddied for me before, like I'm pretty nice to the caddy. Like I like to say thank you. I like to like, talk to the caddy and like interact. Like it's not, I still think at the end of the day, like if I hit a bad shot, it's not the caddy's fault. It's my fault. But if he can help me hit a better shot, then I'm all on board. But to also like to answer the full question, I've gotten like 40 DMs on Instagram like in the last 2 weeks being like, hey, if you need a caddy, like I'm available. So like it is kind of stressful like trying to figure out who to respond to and like who not to respond to.
Especially when you don't have that like kind of interaction on the course, which is like where you're going to need them the most. Like it's great. Someone can say 50 different things on a, via text or whatever, but like when you get on a course, you don't really know how they're going to interact. And so
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Um, but that's interesting. I do find the viewpoint of like you want a grinder, like a guy that kind of like is willing to go the extra mile to be on your back because like in my opinion, that's kind of like you, right? Like that's like how you like
Mhm.
you're willing to do what it takes to, succeed. And so having a guy with the same mentality instead of just saying, "Oh, this is a guy I can just, I can get a few $1,000s or however much it is a week and I don't really have to do much," right? It,
Yeah.
it's
Well, and like I think too, like with what I do now, like in college, I was totally different, but Now I got diagnosed with like essential tremor like 6 months ago. So like my fingers and like eyelids shake constantly. It's like a brain disorder. And like on game weeks, or like I call them game weeks, my tournament weeks, like I don't drink coffee, I don't drink soda, like I eat certain foods to like limit my shaking. And so it's like I'm very detail oriented like throughout the week. And like I want someone to do that. And then once we win on Sunday, like I'll drink a million beers with you. Like I'm totally fine with doing that. Like, but from Monday to Sunday, like it's like like we're doing everything the right way and like by the book. And I think that's what I did like amazing at final stage was like 6 rounds was so many rounds. And then it's really not 6 rounds because I played two practice rounds on two different courses before that. So it's really 8 rounds. And like I took an overnight train from second stage as soon as we finished to be able to play the practice round the next day. So it's like I played 14 rounds in 14 days. Like it was a lot. But like at the new hotel at final stage, they had a buffet every night that opened at 7. I went to dinner there every night for 8 days. By the time it was over, like I didn't want to eat there anymore. But like I knew I could eat there at 7. I'd be done by 7:30. I'd be in bed by 7:45 and I'd be ready to go the next day. Like I need people around me to be able to make sacrifices like that to like be able to like have me play my best. So like that I think that's a big part of the like caddy I'm looking for moving forward.
And then talking about like just we'll recap final state, just last question. We talked about it beforehand. How was it, you know, I said from my experience, like it was really cool. Like your rounds were finishing or already had finished by the time I woke up. And so like my morning routine was to, wake up, see how you were doing, shoot you a text message like, oh, good job. They probably don't do anything, but they make me feel like I'm helping as much as possible, right?
No, they
Like
do.
being
They help.
um, but like I'm just like, oh, good job, Cannon. Like, go attack the greens or like
Yeah, yeah.
you're not gonna like that's not gonna be something that like. But anyway, it makes me feel good. But talk about that and like the time difference because we talked about it beforehand. And I think it's really interesting perspective. Like, how did that also help you when we were talking about routines where like you weren't, it wasn't a distraction?
Yeah. I think it was huge, honestly. Like we talked about it a little before the podcast started, but it's like when I finished, that was when I texted everybody, and like that was when I wanted to text people. It was like early afternoon for me, and like I didn't have anything to do for the rest of the day, and everyone was just starting to wake up. So it's like I would chat with everyone like back home as soon as I finished. And then by 8 o'clock, like it's 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So I'm like, all right, guys, like I'll talk to y'all later. And then when I wake up for the next round, like everyone's asleep. So there was no like chatter in the mornings, like being like, oh, good luck today, or like go get them, or like have a bunch of birdies or anything like that. And like even refreshing Instagram or checking my mail, like all of my mail that I looked at in the morning I'd already seen it because it was like from the day before. So it was like there was no outside like influences that were like distracting me at all, like throughout the course of the day. And like I have a great girlfriend who like is, been so supportive of this. But even like with her, it was so much easier throughout the course of the week because it's like I was able to recap with her like at night, which was early afternoon. And then by the time we talked again, I'd already played. So it was like I could talk to her in the morning, or her morning about my round that I just played. And like there were like real feelings. It wasn't like, oh, I hope I do this today or I hope I do that today. It was like, this is what happened today and this is what I need to do tomorrow. So like every conversation I had with people felt more matter of fact because they were like refreshing it, but like I had already lived it. So it was like the facts were already there and like the score had already been posted and like yeah, it was interesting. Like I'd never really thought about it like that. And like especially when we were in college, bro, like you get so many texts from guys that like you don't really talk to that often that are like, "Hey bro, like roll tide today. I hope the team gets it done." And it's like 7:40 and I have like 8 minutes before I tee off. And it's like Yeah, man, thanks. Like I appreciate it. Like, and I do appreciate it, but it's like it's almost like now I know those people are watching. Like, and I know they're keeping up. Whereas like over there is like, oh yeah, like when they wake up tomorrow, like they'll know what I shot. But it's like by then I'll already be like okay with what I shot. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do to change it. So it was just another interesting like little wrinkle that like I had never really thought about until being over there and like doing it. But I don't know. It was kind of nice.
Yeah, because like you're not I couldn't imagine like me being a terrible golfer, right? I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine someone texting me right before I'm about to go tee off and be like, go shoot 5 birdies today. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, well now I failed if I don't go shoot 5 birdies, right?
Yeah, and like even like family members or like friends. I'm not saying this happened, but it's like when I was close to like the DP line, right? And it's like, "Hey bro, go get a DP World Tour card today." That's like being like, "Hey bro, like don't go crash your car today."
Yeah.
Like don't yeah, like, "Hey Mr. Pilot, don't crash the plane today." Like it's like, yeah, dude, I know like what I know what is at stake. Like the only thing you did was reiterate like how important and like big this would be for my career. Like, and so like there was none of that, you know. It was like they didn't have the opportunity to do that because they were asleep, and like I was teeing off.
Yeah, not me saying that you're gonna get top 20 on day, what was it, like three? I was
Yeah,
like,
but like that's the goal, you know. But it's like
yeah,
it's different to be like, hey man, like today's the final day, like good luck, you know, like
yeah.
go get them. It's like, yeah, bro, I know it's the final
It's the
day.
final,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, like thank you, I appreciate it. Like, I don't know, it just makes everything more stressful, you know. It's like when you have a coworker that like is looking over your shoulder while you're working, you're like, hey man, like I'm doing my work, like I
Yeah.
got it, you know. I appreciate the support, and like I hope that didn't come off as like rude or douchey. It's just like sometimes people like they're doing it out of niceness, but it's like it almost makes it more stressful to know that like you have all these people like rooting for you in a way. Like I appreciate them rooting for me, but it's at the same time it's stressful. You don't want to let anybody down.
Yeah, I
And you
think
know
that
how important it is. Like
I
yeah.
think the big thing what you're trying to say is like you appreciate everything, but like at the same time, like there's no need to heighten pressure that's already
Yeah.
there, right? Um, and that's why I try my best to like not like second stage. I don't think I texted you at all. Like I was
Hmm.
like I tried to completely avoid it, but the final stage, whatever. But
Yeah.
um, I I think that like just what you've been able to accomplish relative to last year. I know we've talked a lot about like your mental and how you've thought, at certain times that like, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing and things haven't felt great. But I like from a person that's been a fan of you and a friend of yours, for a bit now, like I just want to say like I'm proud of what you've done. To have yourself have an ability to like I know you said that you were off the cut line. You were tied 26 going into the final round. Like
Hmm.
you were close to the DP World Tour. Obviously, and you needed a lot of like you said the course was calm. There was a lot that had to have happened. It was probably going to be pretty difficult. But the fact that like you put yourself in that position and were able to accomplish something that you set out to do is just inspiring. And I just want to say like I'm proud of what you've done, and I'm excited to be able to record with you in Europe. And it's gonna be I think it's gonna be really interesting as far as the podcast is concerned, because like you said with the messages and stuff, like when we're gonna be recording podcasts, like your your rounds are going to be over. Like you're going to be able to like talk about, and I'm not saying we're going to be recording, during the
No,
week or whatever.
we are. Like I want to
Yeah.
keep doing that. So yeah.
But I'm just excited for you. I'm excited for you to go and travel the world. And um, for your next schedule, what is it? What's up for you? What's going on the next couple of months or weeks for you?
Yeah, so first of all, I appreciate it. And I think, like talking to you is honestly been like kind of a form of therapy. And like, even when we went to the Ryder Cup, someone came up to me and they were like, "Hey man, I love your Twitter and like I listened to the podcast." And like, I'm not saying like we're huge or anything like that, but this has been like a form of therapy, like for me to come on here and talk about these things and like talk about what I'm doing. But also like I I'm not a YouTuber. Like I don't play golf on YouTube, but I want to like reach people and like talk about golf and like I think golf is such a perfect like comparison to life. And like that's cliche and like I'm that's not groundbreaking information, but it's like all these things you can equate to someone working at like Goldman Sachs or someone like working at McDonald's and they're stressed about the drive-through. Like I want to be able to like talk about these things so that like we can have like better dialogue and like get things accomplished. And like I think honestly, I think like talking on the podcast like this has been it's helped me. Like I've written down I look at my three goals every morning, like in the mirror. I have it taped. And it's like I wouldn't have done that if I didn't like say it out loud on the podcast. And like that's been a blast. So I appreciate all the kind words and it means a lot. But I'm gonna play. I have a mini tour event tomorrow. I actually signed up for this mini tour event before I went to Spain, just as like a backup plan in case second stage didn't go well. I missed the withdrawal deadline and it was like 650 bucks. So I'm playing tomorrow and Wednesday. And it's actually a really cool event. Like it's called the AMP Tour. It's a newer mini tour here in Central Florida. And it's match play. So I'm playing a guy in the round of 64 tomorrow. If you lose, you're out. So if you win, you keep playing. Um, We'll play 36 tomorrow and then 36 on Wednesday. I haven't touched a club since I've been home. I hit a couple balls on Sunday, but like really was just slapping it around and like not trying. So I don't really have any high expectations for the week, but I'll be excited to play. I'm actually coming to Tuscaloosa. Anybody that's listening to this, if they're going to be in Tuscaloosa next weekend, I'll be there at Innisfree, probably 40 of the 48 hours I'm there. We have like the golf team alumni event, which I'm so pumped for, like seeing all the guys getting to play Crimson Reserve. That's going to be awesome. And then yeah, just kind of some downtime. Like I said earlier, like there's things I want to fix. And I was never the guy in college. Like I think I just had more talent than some guys. And like I don't want that to sound douchey, but like now you can't just beat guys with talent. Like everybody's good. And so I've really had this like it's been fun for me where like we've talked about it. I feel like this is the hardest I've worked like ever. And I'm actually like enjoying working on the game now. Whereas like at school it was like I don't want to go practice. Like I'll just go play or whatever. Now it's like I want to go practice and like work on things. So I think over the next couple months I'll be doing that. I'll still play like some mini tour stuff. There's a cool like Bay Hill Lake Nona Pro member in December, and then we have like a big like member here at Lake Nona like middle of December, and then a few trips like mixed in there as well for the holidays. But really just like trying to work on some stuff that I want to fix, getting ready for the first event. And I think that was something that like when I played PGA Americas, I wasn't ready to play when the season came around. And that was something we talked about like going into Q school. Like I felt prepared and there was a different like confidence level I had at Q school this year than I had last year, where I was like, I've kind of done everything like I feel like I needed to do, and like I'm prepared for the moment. So now I just have to go like do it. So I want to have that same feeling when the season starts in January. So this is like technically, you know, a little bit of time off, but like I don't want to treat it as time off. I want to treat it as time off, but I want to treat it as time off where like I also use the time to get better. So yeah, that's kind of what the next couple months look like for me.
Do you know when you start?
Not exactly. They've released the first four events. It's like literally the last week of January into February. So I'll probably travel over there like middle of January to get like accustomed to everything. Meet some of the guys that are out there, try and figure out some Airbnbs, that kind of thing. But yeah, right now it's like I have, you know, the rest of November, all of December, and then like half of January to get ready. And then when they do release the full schedule, I think we should like do a podcast about the schedule and like go over every event. I think that would be fun. But for now, yeah, for now, man, like I've just been so like happy and excited to like be able to like have a job because it's like literally like 2 weeks ago, I didn't know if I was like gonna play or if like it was gonna be time to like, not quit golf, but like look at other ways to like stay afloat while I keep playing golf. And it's just this like euphoric feeling I've had the last couple days, and I'm kind of just like trying to ride it, like I want to use that feeling as like practice, like having good practices, like traveling and enjoying like some time off, but not taking too much time off, and like, yeah, just trying to like have checks and balances. So, yeah, it's crazy.
How cool was it to get your card with your dad on the bag?
It was awesome. Like it was so much fun, and it was so awesome to have him there because like I mean like he pays for my stuff, like he is my main sponsor. And so like to have him there and like not only have me get status but see like his hard work and like his willingness to help me is like paid off was amazing. And like I said, like I don't drink coffee, I don't drink soda during the week. Those 4 beers we had together after the final round were the best 4 beers like I've ever had in my life. And like having a beer with your dad is like such a cool experience in itself. And then to do it like in Spain, looking at the 18th green while like other guys are getting a DP World Tour card and I'm getting to watch that and be like, that's what I want. And like, that's my goal was an awesome experience. And like, I just feel like I've come so far from where I was like 10 months ago. Because like all my friends on PGA Americas have had success. Like Michael Brennan was one of my good buddies. He's won on the PGA Tour now. Hunter Woolcott, he was one of my good buddies. He just played in Bermuda last week in a PGA Tour event, and he's probably going to get a Corn Ferry card. Like, all these guys that I hung around are like having massive success, and it's like I'm rooting for them and I want the best for them, and like when they do awesome stuff I'm the first guy to be like that's my boy. But like I think it's human nature to be like I want good things to happen to me too, and like it was nice to have a win, and like I think I can now ride that win into like building on it and like yeah, just continuing to like try to have success. And I think it goes back to like you don't know if you can do it until you do it. And now I've done it. So it's like I feel like I have this huge monkey off my back, and it's like I'm almost playing with like house money now, where it's like I can use the next year to compete and learn and grow and like still continue to be like trying to get better at golf. And I think that's what everybody's doing. They just do it in different ways.
Absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit about our schedule. We'll probably, as far as recording is concerned, like, I mean, we can do a podcast here and there, but I really think like the schedule podcast, like you said, would be a really cool one. And then maybe when the year comes closer around, talking about like goals that you have going into the hotel planner tour. And then also, I think it'd be pretty cool for people listening to kind of understand like what does it mean playing on that tour? Like, what are you trying to do as far as either getting to DP or maintaining status on Hotel Planner? I think that would be an interesting podcast. I don't know if you would have any other ones that you would want to potentially record.
Yeah, honestly too, like I want to start getting like maybe a couple guests on like while I have some time off. Because like I said, like I have really cool friends, and I I think there's stories that aren't told in golf that are kept like between players, and having like me talk to them with you is like so different than like having just some Golf Channel announcer interview someone. So like I want to text Michael and like try and get him to come on, like maybe try and get Dunlap on, or like maybe even that Shuby guy that I played with at DP World Tour. Like I want to start trying to reach out to some of those guys and like get them on and get their full perspective. Because like I saw Michael tell a story about when we were in Brazil on a podcast he did after he won the Utah event. And it was like we landed in Rio and everybody had to take separate Ubers to the hotel because the cars weren't big enough. and his Uber turned off like the Uber app on the way there and like started texting his location like to his friends and stuff. And Michael like legit thought he was being kidnapped. Like I have the text messages on my phone being like, "Hey boys, like this is my location, like this is where I'm at. Like track me please for the next 30 minutes." And it's like you don't hear those stories. Like and that's what professional golf is, bro. Like it's not all like glitz and glamour. And parts of it is, but it's like I wanna try and, tell those stories a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that would be
So
great. Um, Definitely something that we should plan and we can talk about, offline. But again, congratulations. I'm excited that despite the time difference, we're going to be able to get all of your input on the food and the culture and everything, around the world as you're probably what going to play South America. You're going to go play in like India, right? Like
yep.
I don't know if there's any in like Australia or
Dubai,
yeah.
UAE, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Czech Republic, Italy, Scotland, England, South Africa. I think like I mean the first 6 weeks the podcast is gonna be nuts, bro. I'm gonna be in South Africa for 4 weeks and then India for 2 weeks, like Delhi and Jakarta, or maybe not Jakarta, that might be like the Middle East, but New Delhi and then Kolkata, I think, is the other one. And it's like I would have never gone to those places. Like, not that they're like bad or anything. It's just like I don't think I would have ever found myself in India or, the United Arab Emirates or Dubai or like whatever it is. So I think it's going to be awesome. I'm excited, appreciative of everything you've done, and excited to keep the podcast going. The only other thing I have is I still haven't sent that hat off to the winner. I've been gone like the entire time after we announced that. So if you have won the hat and you're listening to this, I apologize. I haven't been to the FedEx store yet. I will get that shipped next week. I promise.
You've been a little busy. Been
Yeah,
just
I
just a
felt bad
little
about it, but I think I do have an excuse. But I will get that shipped like ASAP. So
yeah.
I
I
promise I
don't
didn't forget about it.
Yeah, we'll get that sent out. As far as our schedule, like I said, just stay up to date on our socials. We'll post, when we're gonna schedule or we're gonna record next, depending on interviews or things like that. And I think that's it. I think we're good to sign off. So this has been Golf Adjacent with Canon Claycomb, and we'll talk again soon.
See y'all later.